This is going to be a sad story. You see, NBC News employees are quietly organizing anti-union efforts. The first tweets I saw about this were people who believed that NBC management was trying to stop people from forming a union, when in reality, people who work for NBC do not want to be in a union. And you know what? I feel for you, man. I think it's absurd that many companies, you're required to pay dues or join the union. That's nuts to me. I've been in many unions, and I have seen just how bad they are. Now look, in the past, unions have done great things. Collective bargaining, more specifically, has done great things. Today, there are weird rules and a corrupt system, and I don't think it makes sense for you in an office with complaints to hand over your rights to other companies, technically, like other unions come in, the Writers Guild, for instance, and then they negotiate on your behalf. To me, that makes no sense. So here's what's happened. The NBC News employees have launched an Instagram. They've been hanging up posters arguing against a union. But guess what? You're going to lose. They're probably going to lose because what I've noticed about a lot of left-wing causes, it is socially unacceptable to challenge bad ideas. So when someone puts up a pro-union poster, you're supposed to just accept it and say, oh, yeah, great, that's a good idea. What happens when someone puts up an anti-union poster? They call you evil. They insult you. They tear it down. They attack you. So you can't actually argue against these ideas. And there are some other left-wing, things I'm going to avoid getting too specific on, but there are certain rules on social media outlets that say you can't speak negatively about X. What ends up happening is then people only see positive stories, assume something is safe, do it, and then regret it later. Let's read this story from the Hollywood Reporter. They say, on top of a no NBC News Guild Instagram account and a bare bones website, employees have posted flyers around the network's office in Manhattan, a massive college dorm-esque battle of the posters. On Wednesday, NBC News digital employees formally voted on whether they want to form a union with the News Guild of New York, the results of which won't be available until December 13th. But while the NBC Digital News Guild announced on October 30th that approximately 75% of the workplace signed on to the effort, a smaller group of employees has been quietly campaigning against the union effort. Pro-union posters around the office in Manhattan have been met with anti-union posters put up by the group, which runs an Instagram account called No NBC News Guild and a bare-bones website that lays out a series of NBC News Guild concerns. Now, I read these concerns. I've seen these posts on Instagram, and I got to say, they're right. They talk about how you won't be able to get a merit-based promotion or a raise or time off. Anything you want must now be negotiated when it comes to negotiations. You know what that means? You can be the best employee in the world. You might need special time off. And when you go to your boss, they say, talk to your union rep. Don't bring it to me. And I've experienced this firsthand. And I hated it. And it's one of the reasons I ended up not wanting to work for any union jobs ever again. Quote, we are also the reporters, editors, designers, video journalists, animators, social media strategists, and editorial staff of NBC News Digital, not management. The group, which did not respond to a request for comment, says on the site. The effort appears small. Only 15 people followed the Instagram account. Many of them Today Show employees. One source pointed out to the Hollywood Reporter, NBC News confirmed that the company management has nothing to do with the self-organized anti-union effort. A spokesperson said the company leadership was not made aware or involved in the creation or management of the accounts. Asked about the anti-union effort, the NBC News Digital News Guild said in a statement, we do not know who started this account, but we do know that fear and misinformation about our rights keeps us divided. After our vote count on December 13th, we look forward to coming together as one united staff to protect and look out for one another. No, in my experience, it was always the union lying to me. I worked for several companies. And you know what I ended up seeing? People who were on the board in the union or the local reps, man, they got special treatment. They got special cash. They got, more money, and they did less work. That's what it was really about, injecting a political system into the workplace that didn't benefit me at all. In fact, it made things worse for me. I couldn't get a raise. Other people couldn't get raises. It was all arbitrary because once a year they would negotiate. It just didn't make sense. Let me show you the Instagram page because it's interesting. Listen, you got to understand. Typically, like I said, you never see vote no. These journalists are going to get destroyed if people find out who they are. Here's one that says, dues are for the gym. Enough said. Read about how much money you'll be forced, yes, forced to pay by tapping the link in our bio. Here's one. It says, Items at risk, crossover, women's wellness check, therapy, primary care, behavioral health, health coaching, acupuncture. Okay, you get the point. Here's all of these posters apparently they've been posting, but I want to show you something. Their actual website to see what their arguments are. They say, if you're visiting this page, you probably have questions about how unionizing might impact your day-to-day responsibilities, benefits, or growth plan at the company. We hear you. We are also the reporters, editors, designers, video journalists, animators, social media strategists, and editorial staff of NBC News Digital, not management. The most important thing you need to know, nothing is promised. Everything is up for negotiation. Everything. There are no guarantees. In an effort to try to make sure all sides are being heard, here are some concerns that have been raised. 401k. 401k employer match is technically up for negotiation. Average employer match, 4.7%. NBC offers 6%. They said the Digital Guild states there is no guild multi-employer 401k provider. So other newsrooms have either negotiated different providers, higher matches, or locked in the existing match and provider. Dues and representation fees. Contrary to popular belief, there is no ability to opt out of dues. Even if you opt out of membership, you'll be forced to pay a representation fee of 1.3846% of your base salary. Becoming a member gives you access to things like voting on board representation. If you choose to opt out, you will not be able to vote on any issues, but will still be forced to pay. Wow. Merit increases. Merit raises can be the subject of bargaining. That's exactly what I've experienced. During Occupy Wall Street, I was on a panel at this media center. It was like the Paley Center, I think. And one guy challenged everyone on stage about their, bona fides or whatever. Everybody said unions are important, unions are good. And they said, what about union corruption? And I said, yes, I completely agree. I do not like unions. I like collective bargaining. I like the idea that individuals can come together and challenge their bosses and say, you better give us X. But unions, as they're formulated now, make it so that you as an individual can't do anything without the group. So I'll put it this way. You work for NBC? All right, I'll tell you what's going to happen. If this union passes, there will come a day where you say, I really want to go and report on a story. I'm going to ask my boss. Let's say you're a social media manager and there's a tech conference. The tech conference is mostly about social media, but there's going to be some celebrities there and you think you could do a good job. Not normally your job. So you go to your boss and say, I have this really great idea. Okay. I'm a social media guy. I know, but there's this big conference and I think it'd be a great opportunity. And they say, stop right there. Take it to your union rep. Do not bring these things to me. If you want a promotion or a job change, we talk about it in negotiations. Bye-bye. Not your job. I know. I've been in situations. I've been in these situations. Now, I'll tell you, sure, it might not always be like this. Some unions are better than others. But I'll give you another example. Let's say you're a field reporter and you get word that you live in New York. You get word in Baltimore. Big story breaking. So you step out of line and say, I want to go cover. Stop. You are not a travel reporter. You do not cover this. Take it up with your union rep and we will not talk about it. That's how it goes. And you know what? You might say that's not the case, but that's the risk you take. Whereas right now, you can go to your boss and say, I want to move. And they can say, sure, what do you have in mind? Once the union is in play, you want to change? Rules. So I worked for a union. It was a transportation union. When you wanted to change, you had to talk to a union. Like if you want to do a different job, the union actually did some really great stuff for us there. And that's why I'm saying I get it. Unions aren't all bad. The problem was, sure, I could trade my hours and things like that, but I couldn't move up in the company. So it was basically like, welcome aboard, stay where you are, and you will never move. And when they needed to hire people for higher up positions, they didn't promote you. They would go and promote outside people. This is what you get. It's going to be harder for you to get anything done. Got a really great idea for a doc or an interactive? Sorry, you cannot jump the chain. If you want to negotiate, so in my experience, because I've been in, I think, 3 unions, it was always like, you cannot ask for a raise, take it up with your union rep. You cannot ask for a promotion. We will announce when we have an open position, take it up with your union. I don't want to work for the union. Why am I going to vote to put someone in between me and my boss? For me, I don't want to be involved. Look at this. Asking for a promotion. The conversation is no longer between you and a manager. To be considered, your manager and an HR rep and union rep must all be present. Negotiation conversations will no longer happen directly with the company. Bargaining is at the liberty of the union rep. Job performance. Your title determines your pay scale. Promotions, merit increases are now determined by the union. To get those third-party union members must be present. Your official title might limit the work you can and cannot take on. For example, if you're an editor, you may only be able to edit. This could narrow your ability to work across teams, which, like I said, if you go and say, I got a really great idea for X, full stop. No, absolutely not. So I'll leave it there. The gist of the story is, what it really comes down to, I'm surprised to see people resisting, because if anyone finds out who these people are, they're going to destroy your career. Because if you are against the left, we know how the game is played. I have never seen in my spaces, opposition to unions. I haven't. So this is surprising. And these people are already being attacked as bad people. Sorry, you are not allowed to choose. I'll leave it there. Stick around. A couple more segments coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.